Fear the deer! It's time for Deer Abbey. It's halftime. So I muted the wrong thing. Now we're all good, right? I know I muted it, fix it! Let me go ahead and pull up your questions. Dear Abby is a fake advice column we do at halftime where you get a chance to ask a deer for some life advice. Paradox Prophet 615 asks, Dear Abby, Seth is so stiff he doesn't get any of my fresh memes. How do I get him to loosen up? Buddy, you can't squeeze blood from a stone. K Carnival asks, Dear Abby, Violet says it's my turn on the Xbox, but Claude still won't get off. Tips on how to convince him? Explain to him that racist people wouldn't get off the Xbox. And I think he'd be like, whoa, he dropped that thing like it was a hot potato. Echo0176 asks, hello, my Dear Abby question is, what do you think about eating chicken nuggets dry? I don't really recommend eating chicken nuggets wet. Or do you mean like without, I'm assuming you mean without sauce. Honestly, I think it's blasphemy. I think anybody who eats chicken nuggets dry probably can't be trusted. Raptor asks, should I, as a deer, go in antlers first or hooves first? It depends on what you're doing. If you're just walking, going antlers first is going to be really difficult. You're going to look very silly, and you're probably going to damage your antlers. However, if you're combating, let's say, a lion or an eagle, you probably want to go antlers first. So, you know, just adapt to your situation. We as deer are quite adaptable, so go ahead and take that on. What does a deer even sound like? Can you give us an example? I do have some personal experience with deer in that I used to sleep outside every once in a while just to kind of like be outside. And one night I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear this like, and I freak out. I run back inside my house. I mean, I'm like, you know, 16. A year later, I'm watching the Discovery Channel, and it was just this, or Animal Planet or something like that. And it was like, yes, and now, here's the mating sounds of two deer engaging in copulation. And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. I ran away from two deer having sex in my backyard. Not so fast Pink Cat asks, Dear Abby, how would I go about stealing one of the cats around the monastery to keep as my own? I used to own a cat, and how would I lure her places? I don't think I could lure her places, so you're gonna have a tough time like convincing a cat to come to you. You could use catnip. There's probably a ball of yarn. I feel like Marianne probably has a ball of yarn, or many balls of yarn sitting in her room. So maybe ask Marianne. Diana Blue asks, Dear Abby, what do deer fear if everyone is to fear the deer? Deer are fearless. They're fearless creatures that have no natural predators and are fierce and win all of their battles. So deer, the answer is that deer fear nothing. Bishini Battles asks, if eagles represent freedom and lions represent bravery, what do deer represent? I think it's, well, let's go with peace, because deer are super peaceful, right? It's just about being calm. So we'll go with that. Jan the Old Man asks, Dear Abby, I left my blue cubs behind and want some advice on how to make it up to them. Now, I could be mean, or I could be reasonable. Cubs, they'll be fine, okay? They're gonna grow up, they're gonna be able to hunt, or they're gonna grow manes. They may lose an eye, but don't worry about it, okay? They'll be fine. Fine, don't worry. L is a Freak asks, this is a great Dear Abby question. How do I make my grandma stop sending me her cooking that has expired ingredients? Thanksgiving is going to be horrible. So your grandmother is sending you food with expired ingredients in it. I would say that you could reciprocate, and then like right when she's like, oh, I don't feel good, you could be like, that's what you get, grandma. But that sounds super mean, and I don't know if I'm all about being mean. So what you could do is if she sends you something with expired ingredients and then it makes your stomach upset, you could throw up on your grandma. But again, that sounds mean, so I don't know if I have a real good answer for this one. Beaming Crimson asks, Dear Abby, I'm having issues with the Nara deer headbutting me. Any idea on how to get them to stop? Throw away all of your food. 100% of your food needs to be nowhere near you, and they have to know it. If you just hold up your hands and you're like, I don't have food. Also, if you do the sign of the golden deer, they'll know. They'll give you like a little deer wink. They'll be like, and then they'll sort of walk away. 003D asks, Dear Abby, Lorenz creeps me out and scares me. What do? I think you're pretty much on par with the rest of the population that is creeped out or scared by Lorenz. So you're not alone there. And if you can take any solace from the fact that you're not alone, maybe use that as your strength. That everyone feels the same way you do. And you'll get through it together. Soft Guitar asks, Dear Abby, if one horn makes a unicorn, does that make a deer a dual corn or something else? Well, I don't know if you could see, there's a lot more than 2 here, so I think I'm approaching dodecacorn. If there's 12 here, I think we've got a dodecacorn. So you're right, that's the right lexicon. Dear Abby, my son is fawning over a girl at his school. The only problem is, it's his neighbor. His neighbor is as well. They're always butting horns whenever they meet, and I find myself doting on my son more and more. What should my son do to win over his dear sweetheart? I think, so if I get this right, there's a love triangle between your son, your neighbor, and this girl. You should let the girl decide. If the girl likes your son, great for your son. If the girl likes the neighbor, good for the neighbor. I don't think anybody likes to see men fighting. Well, maybe they do. Maybe they do. You know what? Screw it. Just have them lock horns. Get out in the parking lot, give them each one of these. They were like $8 on Amazon. Give them each one of these and just have them go at it. And I think it goes whoever turns, right? If you turn the other deer, then you've established dominance. No, don't rip any bellies open, okay? Please don't actually engage in violence. Infidus Files asks, Dear Abby, how do I become as big and strong as Hilda? Get everyone else to do your work for you. KESW asks a very military question. How can a deer beat someone who has a reflective belt? Whoa. This is a paradox. Okay, well, the first thing is, the person trying to beat the person who has a reflective belt, or the deer, needs to not be driving a vehicle, right? So reflective belts are the most effective against oncoming vehicles. So I think it's important that the deer just stay dismounted, okay? That'd probably be the best way. For those of you that don't get the in-joke, in the military there's sort of a... You know what? I'm not even going to explain it. Look up reflective belts in the military. Dear Abby, how can I afford to go to Deer College? First of all, I think... So let's extract yourself from a society that believes that going to college is the only way for you to live a worthwhile life, okay? You could go study a deer trade. You could go into deer entertainment. You could go into deer services, and none of those require a degree. So don't worry about it. If you can't afford to go to Deer College, there's plenty of other ways to live a great, fulfilling life and be good to the people around you. Houndour asks, Dear Abby, how do I save my students from a falling gingerbread house? Why would you ask that question? Is it because that someone you know doesn't know how to build a gingerbread house very well? Are you insinuating something? The real answer to that question is pick someone to build the gingerbread house who isn't an idiot with dexterous art forms. That's the way that you do that.